Hey everyone, welcome back. We often hear this idea thrown around that being transgender is like some new trend.
Hmm.
But is that really true? I mean, come on. So today we're going to totally debunk that myth.
Okay.
We're diving deep into this excerpt. It's called Trans People Have Always Existed. Just straight up a reality check.
Yeah.
And it's pretty amazing how this excerpt reframes history. You ready to get our minds blown?
I am so ready.
Okay, let's do it. So this excerpt basically says, flat out, trans people, they haven't just suddenly appeared.
Right.
They've always been part of the picture. And it takes us, all over the world back in time to show us how different cultures have recognized and honored gender diversity.
Yeah, and for a long time, actually.
Yeah. Okay, so first stop, indigenous North American cultures. And we're
Mhm.
talking about two-spirit individuals, right?
Right.
And what really struck me wasn't just the acceptance they found,
Mhm.
but the actual reverence.
Yeah.
These weren't folks pushed to the edges of society. They held important roles, often seen as these bridges between the physical and the spiritual.
Definitely.
So what do you think made that level of respect possible?
Well, I think it points to a really different understanding of gender
Okay.
than that rigid binary we see kind of imposed today.
Yeah.
A lot of indigenous cultures saw gender as a spectrum, not just these two opposite categories.
So fluidity.
Exactly, fluidity.
Okay.
And two-spirit individuals embodying both masculine and feminine qualities were seen as representing this completeness.
Wholeness.
Yeah, a wholeness that was super valued.
So it goes beyond just tolerance, right?
Way beyond.
It's like seeing that difference as something powerful, as
Absolutely.
something maybe even sacred.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it.
Okay, then let's hop over to South Asia. We've got the Hijra community, a third gender that's been recognized for centuries. It's like a living, breathing example that gender diversity isn't some Western invention,
No, not at all.
but a reality woven into the fabric of societies all around the world.
And they really do have such a rich history, their own traditions, rituals, social structures. They show us that societies can function and thrive with more than just two genders.
Okay, so we've got these incredible examples, but then we come to the Roman emperor, Elagabalus.
Yeah.
And the excerpt mentions accounts suggesting a strong preference for being addressed as a woman.
Yeah.
No, we're talking ancient Rome here, right?
Yeah.
Not exactly
Yeah.
a beacon of progressive values, are they?
No, not exactly known for that. And it is a complicated case. Historical interpretations, they differ.
Of course.
But even just the existence of those accounts, those whispers and debates about Elagabalus's gender expression, it challenges the idea that trans identities are just some modern thing.
It just popped up out of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. It reminds us that these stories have always been there.
Even if they were quieted or twisted.
Exactly.
Okay, so we have examples across continents, across centuries,
Mm-hmm.
and then boom, colonization hits the scene.
Right.
And this excerpt really highlights how those European colonizers,
Yeah.
often driven by their religious beliefs,
Yeah.
forced their binary system on all the cultures they ran into.
And that's where I think we see the real erasure beginning.
Okay.
It wasn't just about cultural differences, It was a way to justify domination and control.
Like a power move.
Yeah, totally.
So indigenous spiritual practices, those are demonized, families are torn apart, and entire systems of knowledge about gender and sexuality just gone, suppressed. And the church, they weren't exactly innocent in all of this, were they?
No.
This excerpt talks about how any historical narratives that didn't fit their doctrines, they were just tossed out.
Yeah.
But haven't there always been groups within Christianity that had more open views on gender?
There have.
So how did those voices get silenced?
Well, you're right. Christianity hasn't always had one single view on gender.
Yeah.
But when colonialism was gaining power, certain interpretations, ones that reinforced, patriarchal structures and control, those became the dominant ones. And
Right.
anyone who challenged those interpretations,
Yeah.
they were often silenced or even labeled as heretics.
Imagine a tapestry with all these beautiful, diverse threads,
Yeah.
and then someone comes along and just starts yanking them out.
Ooh.
One by one, until all you're left with are these rigid, monochrome lines.
That's a powerful image.
And what's really scary is how this historical erasure sets the stage for the attacks we're seeing on trans people today. This excerpt it draws a parallel to the Nazi regime and how they targeted the Institute of Sexology.
Yeah.
We often think of Nazi Germany as this awful exception.
Right.
But the way they systematically wiped out knowledge, the demonization of anything different, the scapegoating of a whole group of people,
Right.
haven't we seen those same patterns throughout history?
Absolutely.
Even in times that we consider more enlightened.
Yeah. The Nazi regime, it might be a particularly brutal example,
Yeah.
but the tactics, the propaganda, the fear-mongering.
The twisting of science.
Yes.
It's all been used again and again to justify oppression.
And we're seeing it happen right now in
Yeah.
the way certain politicians are targeting trans people.
It's that whole protecting children argument that really gets me.
Yeah.
Whereas the concern for the kids living in poverty, facing violence, or being abused in the very institutions that claim to be protecting them.
That's the hypocrisy, right?
Yeah.
The excerpt calls out this selective outrage,
Right.
this laser focus on trans people as a threat.
Like the only threat
While they
to not just learn this history,
yeah.
but to share it,
Yes.
to challenge anyone who keeps spreading these myths, and to stand up for the rights and the dignity of trans people.
Absolutely. And as you keep learning, don't just rely on what other people tell you.
Right.
Go find the voices of trans people themselves.
Wow.
Listen to their stories.
Read what they write.
Engage with their perspectives and really challenge your own preconceived notions.
Yeah, because knowledge is power.
It is.
And understanding the past, with all its messiness and contradictions, that's the key to building a more just and fair future.
If we can reclaim this history, if we can center those voices that have been pushed to the margins for so long,
Yeah.
we can start to dismantle the systems of oppression that have held us all back for way too long.
I love that.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.
See you then.